back today. Our guest, as mentioned, Overseer Tobias McCain and First Lady Tamara McCain, and both joining us today. First timers on Grace and Glory again. So glad to have you with us. And the churches that you over. First off, how did that happen? How did you wind up pastoring two churches?
Well, in 2019, my aunt, who was the founder of New Birth Church, transitioned due to cancer, and the church had dwindled down to about 5 people. And my great aunt asked for me to come over and to just look into the situation. And from that, I went over to look and then found myself pastoring them. And so much of my pastoral journey has been only in a pandemic. I don't know any pastoring prior. So I've pastored at started at the end of 2019. And then by March of the next year, we were seeing churches close down and much was transpiring, but that's how I started there.
So, I mean, that's a unique scenario. Your first pastorate, the first call to pastor, during the pandemic, man, what was that like? I can only imagine.
Well, it was a difficult kind of situation for me because I was definitely on the road as a traveling evangelist. But I shared a couple of weeks ago in Bible study at my church. It was that when the time had come for the road to shut down, God opened the door for me to start ministering as a pastor. And so it's been a tough journey. However, in that journey, my 9-year-old niece committed suicide, had to eulogize her. My father transitioned because of COVID, had to eulogize him. But the Lord blessed me during that same time with an amazing wife. And we're currently expecting a baby girl. And so God is yet blessing even in the middle of tragedy.
Now tell us about the second church.
Well, the second church, Easter Sunday of this year, I went over to preach at a historical church in our city, the Holy Mount Zion Church, founded by the late Bishop Joseph Mitchum, and started preaching there from one Easter Sunday service. The wife, who's the co-founder, fell in love with me as a son and brought me on over. And from that time forward, I've been there and now pastoring that church and watching God bless that ministry as well.
Now, pastor to pastor, I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
Do you cheat and take the same message each Sunday from one to the other?
Yeah, I try not to let them know that, but yeah, I do.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
I understand. So, coming now out of the pandemic, things are starting to clear as far as the challenges associated with the pandemic. Where do you see your church and the mission of your church at right now?
Well, the mission of our church is simple. I teach the membership of our church that the order of God, family, and the church. And for so long, we've watched people put emphasis on church, but have forsaken their family. Yeah. And so I know my assignment is to bridge the gap between traditionalism and those that are contemporary, to help those, the younger generation, to realize that the principles of God are not too old that you cannot follow, while as to help the older generation to realize that this younger generation is not too lost that they don't have a love and passion for God. Realizing that with that being said, there are some folk that are just not re-entering our ministry. However, they make sure that their Cash App seed, their Givelify seed is paid every Sunday. And so I realized that we have to minister to all different ways. However, I think it's going to work out for our good.
You know, that's good. A couple of things you said there that popped in mind, of course, during the pandemic, utilizing the various platforms that were available, social media,
yeah.
And also being able to see your church thrive as well as survive,
yeah.
Using that platform, even in the area of the giving.
Sir. Yes.
Our church, our giving went up during the pandemic, which is the anomaly. God takes the foolish things of this world to confound the wise.
Yes,
but also when it comes to the millennials, just prior to, and this is the point I wanted to get to, just prior to the pandemic, I noticed that there was a major concern as related to falling away by young people because it seemed like too many of the messages were about getting.
Absolutely.
And not becoming.
Absolutely.
And this generation, millennial generation, was all about keeping it real. So they were looking at that and they were seeing that as being hypocritical and they didn't like it.
Absolutely.
So they left.
Absolutely.
How do we get them to come back?
Well, I believe our approach to regain the attention of a generation that will seemingly be lost is to speak truth and to be honest and to let them know that the same God that's working on you is working on me. and we've not arrived. We are all yet
That's
a
good.
work in progress. You know, Philippians put it like this: He that begun a good work in you shall perform it
Yes.
until. That means that's some time until the day of Jesus Christ. So that's my
Look,
perspective.
tell us about the anniversary. I don't want to
Oh, sure,
all
sure.
the time.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the
I'm
anniversary.
so excited to celebrate my 3rd year of pastoring. As I stated, I started pastoring mainly in a pandemic, and to see where God has brought us, a church of just 5 people, and the Lord moved us from 5 well over a good number, I'll put it like that. He's blessed us in a pandemic. We've baptized many souls, dedicated many babies, and so it's celebration time. 3 years. So Pastor Brent Brown is going to be with us with Greater Harvest Baptist Church, and Bishop Carl Pierce is going to come and close us out as we just celebrate the Lord in excitement of everything the Lord has done to get us to this point. So we're excited. 3 years.
First Lady Tamara, the date on the event is?
November 13th and November 27th.
So you were just sitting there quiet. I'm going to pull you in. I'm not going to let you just sit there. Now, what are the times of the services?
I believe it's 3:30 for November 13th and November 27th. I believe same time, 3:30.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you, how does one connect with your church? Churches.
We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Holy Mount Zion, and then New Birth Church. So we're on Instagram and Facebook, so you can find us on there. And also, New Birth address is 111 Wheeler Avenue, and Holy Mount Zion address is 1201 North Monroe Street.
How has the journey been for you?
It has been, it's a learning experience for me. First time First Lady,
Okay.
first time married to
a
a
whole bunch of
pastor.
firsts.
So a lot of
Yeah.
first times. For me, it's a lot of prayer. You know, got to stay in prayer. Got to stay in prayer for my husband as well, and just being his extra eyes,
That's good.
and being his cheerleader. So I just cheerlead him on, and I pray first.
Well, you got some good points there. You're right on. You're on point. You're on point. That sounds good. It sounds on point. Listen, I want you guys to stay put for just a second. We've got